can tell if someone's from Baltimore because there's kind of a Baltimore accent. But other than that, but also it's like that's crazy. You know, there's like a good amount of people from elevators in LA. Like, I have a close friend who's from LA. I could tell that she is like at least from Southern California because I don't know a lot about Southern California. But she has like the local fry thing, like she lives out in Philly. Like, so I could tell she was like from that part of the country. So I did guess that, but I wasn't sure.
Bert's up there. Bert. Bert. Where are we starting? Right.
Wait, since you were like only one dude, yeah.
Wait, I know you guys are going to see it. Wait, that's really
Oh yeah, I figured out. I'm sorry. I know it was me. Yeah. I did figure it out. Sorry. My parents were wrong.
Yeah, I like the plants.
Guys have to go.
you shaking your head at me?
I'll break something.
They're out in the hallway. It's all waiting for me. Francesca, I'm here to talk about my days here.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. How are you? You doing all right? Oh, okay. Let me turn my mic on so I can be consistent. We're going to leave the doors open. People can come in if they're running a little bit late. But welcome to, number one, the week of Alumni Takeover. If you're not familiar with what this is a biannual event where we invite alums back into the dance department to take over the entire curriculum and do it their way, and then tell us what we could have done a little bit better while they were here so that we can continue to evolve as a faculty and as a department. It's my pleasure to have these three distinguished alums here with us who have been teaching already this morning. Some of them got in super early this morning, like 2:30, late, early is relative. And so we want to give them an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what they've been doing in the world, and to then give you opportunity to ask them questions about what it actually means to be at Middlebury at a certain time. Their graduation years are almost all 7 to 10 years apart from each other. And so we want to give you kind of a little bit of a historical analysis as well of what dance has done and changed over time at Middlebury. So we're going to start to my immediate right with Sonia Shea. We're going to introduce ourselves, and then we'll get into a little bit of background. Go for it.
Is this on? It is. Hi everyone, my name is Sonia Shea. I graduated in 10.5, joint degree dance and English, and I later went on to become a psychotherapist. And I'll talk more about other iterations of that too as well.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Octavio Rose Hingle, and I graduated class of 2017. And I currently live in Oakland, California, where I have a career in disability integrated dance and nightlife.
Hi there, my name is Graham. I graduated in the class of 23. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia now. I'm a performer, choreographer, and educator in the area.
So we're just going to start with some really quick highlights. Since mid, the most important thing I've done is, and important is relative to you, right? I could say the most important thing I've done is have a kid, whatever, figured out my mama's cornbread recipe, whatever you want, right? But what's been the most important thing you feel like you've done since you've graduated? 2 years, 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah. Honestly, it's not been about anything career-wise. It's just been personally, and I think I want to speak to people who have trauma, complex trauma, difficult childhoods. It does get better. I'm quite personally, I'm just proud that I was able to move through some really difficult material become a truly embodied, happy person who knows how to love themselves and, you know, have enough to share with other people some wisdom and have a certain kind of trust in the universe that, you know, good things will happen, even if, you know, sometimes it seems really dark, really dark, really dark, really dark. You know, sometimes you do get a little bit of a break, and the self-transformation comes, and it will come. It does. So, yeah.
I love starting with that question. I think for me, the most important, or the thing that I feel the most proud of, is learning to love my body and continue to love dance. I think I experienced some beginnings of chronic illness related to hypermobility and other things going on in my body while I was here, and I think for a long time, I just had a lot of trauma around dance and the ways that I felt like dance had hurt me and trying to meet a certain level of athleticism in dance. And I've had a complex relationship with it. And I think kind of in the past 2 years, I've learned how to fall back in love with moving as a space of neuroplasticity, as a place of healing, as a place of joy and pleasure once again. And by sticking it out and continuing to say, I belong in this field, I belong in this space, and there's a place for me. Hopefully I can also make a space for other people to also feel seen and witnessed in their own complexities. So I'm proud that I still love to move.
My biggest thing that I've done in the past 2 years, well, I'll say career-wise and then I'll say more abstractly, is I founded my own dance company, and you can follow us on Instagram, Sheeler Dance, S-H-E-L-O-R. Dance. But beyond that, I think, especially as an artist, but just as a person in general, really understanding how to listen and communicate with myself, discovering a lot of self-compassion for the stage that I'm at in my life, and also finding out how to articulate my voice and get other people to listen to what I have to offer.
I don't always believe that things are explicit, right? And so we want to be clear, especially to people who sometimes think that dance careers or careers of joy or fulfillment happen because you're lucky, right? Or that happen because you know the right people, right? There are so many stages of each of your developments and careers that I've been aware of that felt a little bit rocky, a little bit tumultuous and unclear. How did you navigate the unclarity?
I would say definitely leaning on community has been the biggest help for me. There's so much that, you know, like just knowledge and tools that I was not equipped with coming out of college that other people have such expertise in, that I've befriended, whether it be through dance or like elsewhere. Like for example, I have a coworker, during the day I work at a fitness studio, and one of my coworkers is like in between jobs with like tax law. And so I've been like talking with her about like all tax things with my dance company and like, how does this work? How do I give out 1099s and like make sure everything is done? I cross my T's, dot my I's. So yeah, just leaning on people and leaning on myself and my intuition to know really what is going to serve me and where are the spaces that are really gonna hold me the best. And more often than not, that intuition's right.
Yes, yes. Do you want to say something, or?
Yeah, trust in the intuition, letting go, surrendering. I was telling some of the class earlier today, your motivation is protection in all things, and so just being really clear about why you're doing it and just request what you need from the universe and then let go and trust and kind of let that magic happen for you. It's kind of been my process.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, for me, I think it's really been, in terms of navigating those uncertain moments, it's just asking myself what tools do I have available for me in this moment, and they might not necessarily look like what they think it is. So, okay, maybe I can't produce the type of athletic, high energy dance making that I could once do, but I have my voice, I have song, I have my written word, and I have the beginnings of a movement vocabulary that are starting to come out of me. Where can I find the rigor in all of these tools that I have and create something that I feel proud of? I began an accessible nightlife organization called Crip Ecstasy, which creates a blueprint for accessible nightlife experiences for people across the disability experience, people who are deaf, people who are neurodiverse, who are blind, people who have physical disabilities. And that came from having a hard time accessing these art spaces, accessing these queer nightlife spaces that have meant so much to me. I didn't see something available that had the type of comfortable seating, that had the type of just in general accessible culture that I wanted. So I was just like, okay, well, I know a little bit about producing an event through my job, through the work that I've done in dance. I know a little bit about getting people together, and let's do it and let's make it happen. So just thinking flexibly outside the boundaries that I had previously created for myself has allowed me to expand.
Okay, now this one might get a little, hairy, but what was the hardest thing about being a dance major while you were here?
Oh God. Well, I just wish I had found for myself sooner enough self-discipline within my work and the ability to just keep pushing forward and commit to everything fully. Also within that, I think more specifically talking about Middlebury, I really didn't want to do anything else but dance. Hello?
Middlebury, cut your mic off.
So like I don't know, it was hard because I was like, I only want to be in the dance department, but then you have to do all these other classes. But I'm also interested in other things, but with dancing, but I don't want to take these science and math classes. So just the motivation to do that was very low for me. But again, I wish I really took advantage of that more because there is just so much in life in your day-to-day that you're going to do and be like, this freaking sucks. And so that ability to be able to get through it and again commit your fullest, give your 100% to that is really what's going to carry you over successfully in life and the things you really do care about most.
Yeah, for me, I felt a lot of judgment. I literally had what is it called, your RA? She was like, "Are you just trying to choose the easiest major?" I was like, "Oh," but later I feel like I'm having the last laugh because somatics is so big now. Everybody's, especially in the therapy world, somatic experiencing and I was like, I did this in college. I already did this. I don't need to do this again. So wherever you go, you have a body, and you're gonna need to know how to use it. And it's the best investment to learn how to keep everything healthy. So I feel I made the right choice.
Yes, I relate to that. I was really just wanting to do dance stuff too, and I was like, oh girl, I have to take a geology class and sleep halfway through my final and still make it in time and somehow save my grade. Lord, so yeah, I think, part of it was some of that, and then as well as my freshman year here, I had the first of a series of injuries that really made some of the physical aspects of this major more difficult for me, and so, I tried to keep up in different ways. I would dance entirely on the floor while my peers were standing, translating, or I would use one of those, there's these mounds in here, and I would kind of choreograph and sit on the mound and do different things. And some of that was great, and some of that honestly, wasn't the best for my body either. So it took me a while to kind of find a way to dance sustainably. But in the way, I think what's so great about this program and this curriculum is there's a lot of support for independent thinking. And I was able to create an independent study that looked at queer nightlife culture and performance art, and I got really into that. I found a 4-wheel office chair to dance on in my thesis. I did my thesis at the Bunker, thinking outside of traditional dance spaces. So I really had this freedom to kind of think big and think alternatively, with still the same level, in my opinion, of rigor and of discipline and of craft.
Can I say one more thing too? And you made me think of it. What was so weird for me coming to Middlebury was, so I've been dancing since I was like 3. I went to a studio forever. I also went to performing arts middle and high school, so my day was like 24/7 dance. I was only ever around dancers. And so coming to this space where I'm like such the minority and like nobody dances, it made me feel so out of place in my own body because other people were so out of theirs. And so now I really appreciate and feel like I have such a superpower because like looking around at Middlebury, it's nothing against y'all, but it's what happens in this space and the training you get in dance is like, it just sets you apart in such a unique way. And so that was really interesting to navigate, I feel like, being someone that, has a somatic connection and awareness, who also is trained in like many different disciplines too. That has helped like bridge across like different communities for me. And so, yeah, it's such a superpower to be able to dance.
So Sonia and Octavio were here before we were technically a department. Yeah, right? Yeah. No, we were a part of the Department of Theater and Dance. We were the dance program.
Oh, you're right.
I know, I'm right.
Well, of course.
Right.
You guys had just separated from the theater department. Like you guys were not still.
No, this did not happen until 2020.
What?
Yes. Yeah, right? So I'm just saying that because a lot of times there are logistics that happen behind the scenes that either elevate the persona of the program, right? And so now that we're a department, like these guys, I want to just do a little anecdote. Sonia is not exaggerating, right? Sonia was here when people would be doing site-specific pieces in wherever on campus, and people would walk by and say, "Get a real major." Right? Like arts in academia is already a foreign entity. So we have to be so clear about the intellectual rigor, the investment that it takes to stay self-disciplined, curious, and aggressive about your own learning in a situation, circumstance, condition, or institution that has really no understanding of its value. Right? And that's not just Middlebury, that's kind of elite institutions across the board, where the arts have become this way of navigating and understanding the world, but their rigor is still not understood as an academic discipline. Right? So what have you found that you have had to teach your peers, your communities, your clients about what you do as you've been out in the world?
I mean, I don't know. For the past 6.5 years, I worked for a dance company as my main full-time job. I work with Access Dance Company in Berkeley, California, which is also a dance company that integrates disabled, non-disabled, deaf, and neurodivergent individuals. And so I think for us, dance, I'm always in a space where dance is seen as something that is important, that something is worth fighting for, something that has intelligence, something that is rigorous. I think maybe in my day-to-day life now, I feel that even more so than at mid, where we were kind of feeling like we needed to defend ourselves as a legitimate academic form. So I guess I'm just blessed to be in spaces where dance is considered important and valuable. And that's just been a part of my life for so long. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing that I don't feel like I always have to prove myself about that.
Moving to Atlanta, I realized that a lot of people are dancers, but are not. they do not think critically and deeply and engage with art in the ways that I think Middlebury taught me to. And again, one of like the privileges of having this in an academic setting, there's just so much taught here to teach you how to approach making dance differently. And I feel like most companies in Atlanta are very much like they're gonna teach you a 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're a dancer, you're just kind of the paint on this canvas and follow along with whatever the choreographer says. Very rarely, especially in a group setting, I feel like, or I have experienced like that it's a collaborative process, one where we're really investigating, where we don't really know the outcome, what the final product will be. And so allowing space for that and like permitting that in a creative process, I think has been something that I've been offering to the Atlanta community, that, oh, we can be a lot more experimental about this, that we can really be radical and transformational in the way that we approach art, in ways that translate beyond just the stage, but also impact our communities too. Yeah.
I think for me, having a specific like title as psychotherapist helps, because the context is very clear. It's like you're coming for some wisdom, some healing in a specific context. So that's just made it easier. Yeah, for sure.
But when you ask your clients to move, or any type of embodied exercise, what's the first response?
It's a no. That's why I had to drug them.
It's a no. No, I'm not doing that. Okay, I want to open it up for some questions before we get too far along, because you know I could be here all day. Oprah's my spirit animal. Questions from the audience? Yeah, go ahead, Avery.
I'm curious, Graham, you mentioned coming from a studio, like growing up in a studio and dancing very rigorously. And I don't know if your other guys' experiences before Middlebury, but I'm curious how you guys balance like having enough time in the day to actually dance and doing other academics, because I think for me finding that balance is sometimes hard, and feeling like I'm doing like enough dancing to actually be improving as well, while giving myself to other aspects of life too. And I'm curious how you guys found that balance.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't, and I think it kind of bit me in the ass academically. But I mean, I think definitely, yeah, at Middlebury and beyond too, where I guess where my schedule is only determined by me. You know, I think before college, you know, I was in all these dance classes and rehearsals, and that schedule was sort of set up by other people. And then after really having to find the self-discipline and self-motivation to, you know, get myself in the studio, but even if it's by myself, you know, committing myself to some kind of physical practice, but also making the most of even cultivating that in community, whether it's like, you know, with 2 or 3 people, hey, let's just try some things out. I also was a part of Rhythm as well. Any Rhythm people in here? Woo! So yeah, that was like a great outlet for me as well, to be able to like do dance classes here during the day, do Rhythm at night, and then also having my own, you know, time for exploration and investigation. Yeah, does that answer that? Well, yeah. It's hard. It's so hard to balance everything. And I feel like, especially like outside of college too, like in the real world, like dance is so antithetical to how society wants you to be and to exist. And making art is not seen as productive. And so, you know, actually working a 40-hour work week, a full-time job, and, you know, making sure everything else is maintained in life, like society just does not set us up to be able to dance and to make art. So again, being rigorous and disciplined enough to resist that in a sense, and make that space and time for you and others is like, it's such hard work, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is hard. And I mean, I remember taking like technique workshop twice. I took anatomy twice. I went to ballet. Um, you know, sometimes like you could audit like a technique class even if like you weren't necessarily there. So I think it's just building that into your schedule, and then maybe with that, it looks like, I don't know, I took like 3 classes a semester for like most of my time here. I found a way to do that and like get enough credits, and I don't regret that a bit because I had more time to focus on my art, and I think that that made my experience stronger because that's what I was looking for in my education, and I don't think that that was any less than. So, you know, maybe like no shade to Buy Hall, for example, but like, you know, you don't have to be in Buy Hall all the time to be like a student who's like really making a difference in your own life. You are here for your investment. So if your investment is like showing up and auditing more technique classes, like, then go off. You know, I think what's great about students here is there's a sense of like independence that you have to design your own curriculum, and like, you know, go for it. What gives you that sense of like, yes, this is what I want to be doing with my time?
Yeah, I started here at dancing at 19 here, so I always felt like it was enough, but I can understand someone who comes from that background. But Middlebury sent me to ADF for free, so I would apply for one of those arts grants or do the summer or winter intensives. You just taught one, right? Or something. Yeah, those are fun.
Great. Yeah, other questions? Yes, we'll go 1, 2, 3. Francesca?
Right after graduation, where did you start in the dance world? Like, did you start auditioning? Did you start teaching? What did you do first? And is there anything that you would have changed?
I took like every open class, I went to every show I could, like I just did it all. And shook every hand I could. Hi, I'm Graham, what's your name? You know, just putting myself out there and putting my face out there more and more and more. And even in spaces where it was uncomfortable. And so many like friendships and relationships have been built because of that. I actually wish I was a bit more aggressive and explicit in like, I want to work for you, you know, I want this opportunity. So really naming for other people, like, I want to do the work and I'm here for that.
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah, just being like straight up, I would love to work with you. I don't think that's a bad thing to say to somebody. No one's ever gonna be like, ew, like they're gonna be flattered. Like, oh, like you won't, like you wanna work with me? Like, okay. And like even if it doesn't work out in that moment, like that's gonna be a valuable interaction. And also just like emailing people, emailing artists that you admire. When I was here, I like DM'd and emailed like a few people on Instagram whose work I really had admired from my research, and then we met up in New York and we talked for an afternoon about our work, and it helped me feel like, oh, I'm an artist in the world and I can do this. I have this presence, and people are going to be down to talk to you about their work if it's what interests you and if it's what you've been researching. Yeah, I think same thing, just like going out there, going to shows, looking in the ecosystem of wherever you're moving to, looking at are there like resident artist workshops, are there choreographic opportunities, are there festivals, you know, are there open mics, you know, just like putting yourself out there and doing like a 5-minute solo, you know, and then people see who you are and then you can take it from there. So that's kind of what I did, is just saw where I could join and make something.
On the road to Psycho. She's so funny, guys. Really, just appreciate this while you're here. Yeah, I got my butt to therapy. That's what I did. Yeah.
Yes, tell me your name.
Sophie,
Sophie.
if you had any advice for your freshman yourself, what would you say?
What would you say to your first year self?
You don't need to do it all at once, girl. You're doing plenty right now. You are doing plenty right now.
You're gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
Take a nap.
Go to sleep. Get enough sleep.
Give yourself a hug. You know, yeah.
Get a sun, a happy lamp.
What would you say, Graham?
Remember, you're here for a degree. That's all that matters in the end.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, who are you? Yep.
Thank you so much for being here and having this wonderful conversation. This question is for Celine.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were a dance and English double major, and this is like really similar to my situation. And I'm just curious, what were the pathways that you took, and like how did you arrive at secondary degree? Like, what were the connections among all these different areas?
Yeah, joint, not double. I couldn't manage all of the other, just to be clear.
You took a nap.
We're all being humble here. I mean, yeah. So when I started to work with consciousness and sacred plant medicines, that's when it all started to click. I actually got into Middlebury because I was very good at the violin. So that was frequency. And then I needed to get into my body, dance. And then I needed to work my mind, so it's English. English really teaches you how to think in symbols, metaphors, not taking everything so literally, subtext. And so when you're learning how to work with consciousness, different dimensions, spirituality, those things all really stacked really nicely for me actually in the end. So when I started to journey, it was like, oh, this is all coming together. You'll start to see your interests aren't random. There is a thread, and you'll start to see that thread as you continue on in life. So.
What's the biggest risk you would say you've taken up until now?
Yeah, going to Gabon for my Budi initiation, because people died during those things. That was pretty crazy.
They don't know what you're talking about?
Iboga is a West African plant medicine, and in order for me to serve the medicine, I had to go to the source to get to be connected to the tradition. And an initiation is 3 days, no food, no water, no sleep. It just takes you to the brink. And so I actually really didn't want to go because I was pretty scared. You know, there's just a lot of elements. There's malaria. I mean, the mosquitoes really are kind of the most dangerous thing. But I'm glad I went. It was a really, really big life-changing experience. And if you feel called, don't ever force these kinds of situations. But if you ever feel called to, say, go on a 10-day Vipassana retreat, you know, try something like that. They really are life-changing experiences. So, yeah.
For me, the biggest risk I think I've taken so far was last week when I told my job that I'll be leaving this summer. I have an opportunity for an artist residency, and I already had to take time off to be here, and I just kept asking for time off because I want to go to New York in October to help curate this festival. I want to do this residency. And I'm like, you know, I do not know what's going to happen at all, but I'm going to leave that job, which has given me a lot, but it's time to move on. And make more space for art to come into my life. So stay tuned. I'm excited and scared. You know, possibly leaning into the skills that I built to do more entrepreneurial work. We shall see, but it's a new chapter ahead. So.
So in addition to all my contemporary dance that I do, I also am a part of the Kiki Ballroom scene in Atlanta, and I compete in the Vogue Femme category, which is a style of dancing. And that was kind of crazy how I joined that scene. It's something, when I moved to Atlanta, I really wanted to be a part of, and I really just had to put myself out there on my own. And I actually didn't start in Atlanta, so like the summer after I graduated, all the like balls that are thrown in this community, like all the events are on Facebook only. So I was like scouring Facebook for like, when is the next ball? When's it gonna happen? I'm gonna go. And the only one that was like happening as soon as possible was in Alabama. So I went and got myself a motel room in Birmingham, Alabama, drove 3 hours, went to this ball by myself, competed and all that, and that's where I met my ballroom house, which is kind of like the team that you're a part of in the community who you compete, like what's the name you compete under? And so that's where I met them there, and then joined them soon after. I also, that motel that I stayed in had bed bugs, so I had to leave at like 5 a.m. that morning and didn't even spend the night. So I'd say that was pretty crazy, and like I'm pretty introverted, so putting myself out there like that was a lot. And yeah, but it's paid off so much, and I'm really grateful for it.
Other questions? Yes, Michael.
Yes, I know one of you mentioned about taking it slow and not taking on too much in your first year. So I wanted to know, how did you guys learn how to say no and set boundaries within your career field? That's obviously about networking and trying to
I mean, that's what a dance education teaches you. Your body will physically, mind, and you know, your body just physically says no. I can't do it. I'm exhausted, or you get physically sick. You know, so some of it is just that listening.
Yeah, having experiences moving in and out of various levels of disability has really taught me how to slow down, and also what really do I value in life and what do I really want to make time for. Because if I have a certain amount of resources and that I can expend, what do I really want to do? I want to go to a dance performance. I want to go to a rehearsal. I want to go on a date. I want to come here to mid, right? Like I need to make those choices. And so I think in some ways, while it's been hard, it's been a blessing to figure out what I really do value in life. I think, in terms of like being here, I would say I didn't learn some of these things into much later on. And so I think sometimes life needs to take its course, and sometimes we do need to burn out so that we can experience, okay, how do I slow down? I'm not recommending that, but I think maybe that's just the reality for like many people. But also, I don't know if I should be saying this publicly or not, but like if you can like take a semester with 3 classes, like if you can do that and still feel like you are like present in what you're doing, I don't think that's a bad idea. You might actually get more out of those 3 classes than if you take the 4 or the 5 and try to do it all at once.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Just like your body is just going to repel, and your values and what you really care about is going to change so much. I'll say that's like especially true. I do a lot of teaching in Atlanta, and I've really learned a lot about myself in terms of like what is the kind of student I want to teach? Do I want this to be more recreational, or do I want a class that's like very rigorous? What age am I looking to teach? Just like what space do I want to be in? What is the mission of the organization? All these things, and that's become like so much more narrow and clear to me. So yeah, I feel like I easily deduct like I'm not doing that. Like I feel like that's how I end up where I am with dance. I feel like I've experienced a lot in terms of my training, especially like before college, and then deciding like that's not for me. Yeah.
Yes. And then Alicia, you had your hand up? Yes.
Hi. I was wondering about, like, if you came knowing that you wanted to go dance numbering 9, or at what point in the middle of your journey did you decide that you wanted to, like, be a dancing major, like, dedicate to dance?
I feel like I was kind of unique, and I knew I wanted to come to Middlebury for dance. I feel like most people start here. I actually met Lida when I was 15. She taught at it's not a thing anymore, but the Florida Dance Festival. I grew up in Tampa. And I was just so enamored with her class and what she had to offer, and it was so different from my normal everyday classes. And it just really resonated with me. And Then we crossed paths again at a Bates Dance Festival when I was 17. And I, again, was just like, got to connect deeper with her work. And, you know, the way she teaches improvisation is so tied to the history of Middlebury. And this is a really special place that has a very unique approach to improvisation. And so I, you know, was looking at colleges at the time and I was like, I want to be where you are, please. And I really fought hard to get here because I was not a good student, and early decision saved me.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I was actually pretty similar to Graham in that I came here knowing that I wanted to dance. I really had an amazing dance teacher in high school. I'm at public high school, Berkeley High. And we were really given just the tools and the freedom to really choreograph what we wanted to, the music that we wanted, the themes that we wanted. Even if they were a little risque, you know, we could do it. And, you know, we played with lighting, we played with costumes, all of these elements. And I found something that I really loved that I felt like, excuse me, something I really loved, something I felt like I could be good at. And I was applying for colleges and I toured here and I really saw the choreographic focus of the program here and the space to really lean into your interests and really find what moves you within dance while also having the technical rigor and background as well. And I was like, these feel like my people. This feels like where I want to be. So shouts out to Middlebury Dance Program. And Crystal Brown.
Yeah, I started when I was 19, and I got lucky. I got connected with Andrea Olson, and we just kind of connected, and she took me under her wing, and she saw me in a way I hadn't seen myself before, which is in this kind of multi-dimensional, soulful, witchy kind of way. So it's good, you know, if you connect with a specific professor too, you know, that's nice.
Yes, Alicia.
So as entrepreneurs, what were some of the questions you asked yourself, this is the path you want to take? And then what, like, first couple of steps did you take to move ahead?
Artists are the OG entrepreneurs, by the way.
Yes.
They like to co-opt the word, but we've been doing it. Just saying.
I'll be honest, entrepreneurship is tough. For me, opportunities always came to me synchronistically, and so having to now work for it is like, I'm sort of seeing I'm a bit spoiled. So, yeah.
She's untangling her resistance.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the arts is not necessarily going to be a moneymaker all of the time, and a lot of the work that I do isn't necessarily going to make a lot of money, but it certainly fulfills my soul and my spirit. That being said, when thinking ahead, you know, I think about work that I can do. I do accessibility consulting in the performing arts. But in that work, for example, you know, I can find clients for that who might be interested, but if there's not a ton of funding, if there's a burnout from that specific activity, I can think about, okay, what are other ways that I can apply these skills to different situations? So a lot of people need a grant writer. Well, I have a lot of experience doing that for my nightlife productions and my own artistic creative practice. I can do that. I can manage budgets. I can do taxes for small businesses, right? So it's like all of those individual skills that you build, you look at this larger wheelhouse and how to meet the moment and where that demand is, and you just keep putting yourself out there, keep shaking hands, and you find the way. So I think in terms of the work that I'm doing, you know, a lot of it is kind of foundation-based, meeting with some foundations to think about the future of the nightlife and disability work that I do, but that's not necessarily going to be always sustainable as well. So you need to think about those sponsors, you need to think about those big donors, you need to think about ways to scale down and scale up to make it all happen, and also maybe find another day job as well, depending on where you're at and how much work you want to put into your entrepreneurship versus how much you want to clock in, clock out, take the check and, get your health insurance and all those good things. So, it's an ongoing choreographic practice in itself, you might say.
Well said. Well said.
For me, when I was making my company, I was just like, I need to get this thing out there, I'll worry about the rest later. So not letting the worries of like admin, finances, like all that, like keep me down from pursuing a greater artistic vision. But now also being in that, it's fun for me. I wish other people were helping me out with it. It's a lot for just one person. But I appreciate, I think, being in a community of artists, the grace that everyone has, because we all know how hard it is, and that there is so little money available, and that we're all just trying to make this work. And so again, being able to lean on people for support, whether it's like material or not, is just like super helpful in making sure it's done. Yeah.
I will say, one thing that I always admire about our alums when they come back is the holistic perspective that you've gained about start to emergence, right? Not to finish, because none of us are finished, right? But this idea that when we talk about things being hard or things being exciting or fearful, like recognizing in your body that fear and excitement are the same energy and you get to decide who you want to be attached to. Right? And noticing how that thread has carried many of you into the next realm of your own personal, professional evolution without letting go of who you are. Right? So I just want to applaud you for that, for being really honest about who you are, where you are, and that this is not a finished product, right? None of us are finished. I think the way that artists use entrepreneurship is really a reinvention of self that allows us to keep evolving with the times and with the situations, circumstances, and conditions we're entrusted to solve. So, congratulations. Yeah, thanks for being here. They'll be teaching classes. Wednesday there's a showcase. Feel free to stop them in the green room, ask any question that you might have forgotten today. But I think it's important to see alums, people who have been where you are right now, at different stages of their life and career, so that you don't think there's one end goal, and that you get to really design a life that works for you. And really be clear about, one, where you want to go, what you want to do, and who you want to be. I think these three are great examples of how to really strategize a life by design. So thank you to CCI and our other sponsors for Alumni Takeover. Thank you, Bert and the tech staff. That is Alumni Takeover panel number 4. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Nice work. Y'all sounded smart. Look at
That $1 million middle education paid off.
$1 million. That's correct.
Exactly.
I got the microphones. I got one of the things to throw over there.
Yes. Oh, and a social media manager.
And a social media manager.
Hey guys, look this way.
And a grant writer.